The blackness of space stretched endlessly around the research vessel Aurora. Stars twinkled like distant fires, indifferent to the small ship drifting in the outer rim of the Andromeda sector. The Aurora's engines hummed softly as the crew worked tirelessly, scanning for data about uncharted planets and asteroid belts. It was supposed to be a routine exploration mission, but space never followed routine rules. Captain Leora Vance stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic screens that displayed the Aurora's surroundings. Her brow furrowed as readings flickered erratically. "Sensors are showing movement, something approaching fast," she said calmly, though her voice carried a hint of tension. Lieutenant Rami Ortiz leaned over the console. "It's not on any known charts. Could be a meteor swarm?" "I don't think so," Captain Vance replied, shaking her head. "The readings show intelligence. Ships, not rocks." Before anyone could react further, a sharp series of jolts shook the Aurora. Warning lights flashed red, and the ship's emergency alarms blared through the corridors. The crew gripped railings, trying to maintain balance in zero gravity. "Impact! Hull breach detected on the starboard side," shouted Chief Engineer Yara Chen, her voice cutting through the chaos. The bridge filled with tense energy. Crew members rushed to their stations. The ship's communication systems had gone silent, and attempts to send a distress call were blocked. Whoever or whatever had attacked them had disabled their outgoing signals. From the shadows of the bridge, Ensign Cade whispered, They don't want anyone to call for help." Captain Vance nodded grimly. "Then it's up to us to survive until someone comes. Keep calm. Start emergency protocols." Outside, the attackers revealed themselves. Sleek, angular alien vessels glimmered in the darkness, their engines burning with eerie, greenish light. They moved with precision and menace, circling the Aurora like predators stalking prey. Lieutenant Ortiz's fingers flew over his console. "They're scanning for weaknesses." "Hull integrity dropping fast," Yara Chen yelled from engineering. "Life support is holding, but not for long. We need to seal the breach manually." Captain Vance turned to the crew, her voice steady but commanding. "2 teams to the starboard hull. Patch the breach and stabilize the engines. Every second counts." The crew obeyed immediately. Floating through the emergency hatches, they worked in zero gravity, welding, sealing, and rerouting power to critical systems. Sparks flew, lights flickered, and the hull shook with repeated impacts from alien fire. In the midst of the chaos, Captain Vance's mind raced. The Andromeda sector was far from the nearest human colonies. Rescue could take days if anyone even knew they were under attack, yet she refused to let despair take hold. Humans had survived worse. They had crossed deserts, oceans, and hostile worlds without surrendering. She would not let her crew be defeated in the silent void of space. Meanwhile, in a nearby human-controlled sector, the massive warship HMS Resolute cruised through the patrol route near the core planets. Admiral Kale stood on the bridge, a figure of authority and calm amid the hum of machinery and chatter of officers. He had a reputation for quick decisions and fearless actions, qualities that had earned him respect across the fleet. A faint, flickering signal appeared on the Resolute's sensors. It was weak, fragmented, almost lost to the noise of space. But Admiral Kale recognized the pattern immediately. "Distress signal, from the outer rim," he said, narrowing his eyes. Lieutenant Mara, the communications officer, responded, "It's faint, Admiral. Almost impossible to trace accurately. Could be an old transmission or interference from a nearby nebula." Admiral Kale shook his head firmly. "No, it's deliberate. Plot a course. We don't leave anyone behind." The Resolute's engines roared to life. The ship, massive and imposing, tore through space with speed that seemed impossible for its size. Crew members moved efficiently, readying defensive systems, weaponry, and shields for any encounter. Kale's eyes never left the screen. "Prepare for potential engagement. We don't know what we'll face, but humans don't abandon those in need." Full speed ahead. Back on the Aurora, the alien ships had begun their assault in earnest. One of their plasma bursts hit the starboard engine, crippling it. Sparks flew and smoke filled the corridor as the ship groaned under the stress. Lieutenant Ortiz shouted, "Engines are down. We're losing maneuverability." Captain Vance took a deep breath. "Then we fight time instead of them. Patch the engines. Keep life support running. And don't let them see fear in our eyes." The crew continued to work under extreme pressure. Yara Chen floated toward the engine room, welding panels, rerouting power, and improvising repairs. Even with sparks flying around her and alarms screaming in her ears, she focused on the task. Her mind reminded her of something her father had once told her. Humans survive because they refuse to quit, even when the odds are impossible. Meanwhile, in a quiet moment on the Resolute, Admiral Kale reviewed the sensor data. "They're cornered near an asteroid field," he observed. "The attackers may try to trap them. We need to reach them before it's too late." He pressed a button, initiating a secure transmission. "All units, full combat readiness. This is a rescue mission, not a patrol. Engage only if necessary. Our priority is saving the Aurora." Time became a blur for the crew of the Aurora. Each moment felt like hours. Each breath was precious. They floated through corridors patched with temporary reinforcements, working together seamlessly, despite the terror pressing in from outside. Suddenly, the alien ships adjusted their formation. A sharp, low-frequency hum filled the ship as the attackers deployed energy nets devices designed to immobilize ships. The Aurora trembled violently, alarms shrieking across the ship. "Brace for impact," Captain Vance shouted. The hull shook as the energy nets latched onto the ship, attempting to disable movement entirely. But the crew had anticipated the threat. With quick thinking, Yara Chen rerouted auxiliary thrusters and disrupted the nets with an electromagnetic pulse, freeing the ship from immediate danger. Ensign Cade's eyes shone with awe. We did it," he said, his voice trembling. Captain Vance allowed herself a small, resolute smile. "One step at a time. Stay focused. Help is on the way." And indeed, it was. On the Resolute, Admiral Kale's ship approached the coordinates, scanning the sector. The massive human warship cast a long shadow across the void. A symbol of power and protection, even the vastness of space seemed smaller when a human vessel like the Resolute moved with determination. Kale knew that the alien attackers would underestimate one human ship, but humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and courageous. That unpredictability was their greatest weapon. On the Aurora, the crew caught sight of the massive silhouette in the distance, faint but unmistakable. Hope flared in their hearts. Even in the cold and empty void, the presence of the Resolute reminded them that humanity never abandoned its own. Captain Vance spoke softly, yet with conviction. "They're here. Hold on, everyone. Humans don't give up. And neither will we." The alien ships sensed a shift in the battle. Their sensors picked up the new, massive presence. Confusion rippled through their ranks. They had expected an easy victory, a stranded crew with no hope. But now, a human warship was entering the field, decisive, fearless, and ready to act without hesitation. The first part of the story ended not with a victory, but with a promise. That humanity would arrive, in full force, whenever one of its own was in danger. In the darkness of space, hope had found a shape, a massive warship, engines blazing, ready to protect and rescue. And in that hope, the crew of the Aurora found strength to continue. Every repair, every breath, every act of courage now had meaning. Help was coming. In the void, humanity was never truly alone. Lieutenant Mara adjusted the targeting systems. "They have more ships than us, Admiral. 10 to 1 at least." Kale nodded, his gaze sharp. "Numbers don't win battles. Strategy, courage, and quick thinking do. Prepare for engagement, but remember, this is a rescue mission first. No one dies unnecessarily today." Below, the Aurora's crew watched from their viewports as the Resolute approached. The enormous human warship seemed impossibly large against the tiny alien fighters. Captain Vance allowed herself a small smile, a spark of hope in the despair. "They've come," she whispered. "We're not alone anymore." The aliens were quick to react. As the Resolute moved into range, Their ships split into attack formations. Plasma cannons flared, firing deadly green bursts toward the human vessel. But the Resolute was ready. Its shields flared with a brilliant blue glow, absorbing and deflecting most of the attacks. "Return fire," Kale commanded. "Precision strikes disable. Don't destroy. Protect the Aurora at all costs." The human fleet's weapons opened fire, beams of concentrated energy slicing through the darkness. Alien ships exploded or flared as their shields failed against the coordinated human attacks. Yet, the aliens were clever, using the asteroid belt nearby as cover, darting between rocks to evade the Resolute's targeting systems. In the Aurora, the crew could feel the vibrations of distant explosions. Ensign Cade floated through the control room, eyes wide with awe. They're actually doing it," he said. "They're fighting for us." Lieutenant Ortiz grinned, adjusting the Aurora's remaining thrusters to stay stable. "Humans always fight when it matters. Never give up, never surrender." Back on the Resolute, the battle intensified. Kale's tactical team worked like a single mind, predicting enemy movements, adjusting shields, and firing in bursts that maximized damage while minimizing risk. Yara Chen on the Aurora monitored the enemy positions through her portable scanner, feeding real-time data to Kale's ship. The alien fleet had underestimated the humans' ingenuity. They expected chaos and panic, but what they found was discipline, coordination, and relentless determination. One alien squadron attempted a surprise flanking maneuver, darting around an asteroid toward the Aurora's weak side. Kale noticed instantly. "Prepare countermeasures," he barked. "Deploy drones and decoy signals. Draw them away from the Aurora." Tiny automated drones shot from the Resolute, weaving a web of light to confuse the alien sensors. Alien ships fired blindly, striking empty space as the decoys lured them away from the Aurora. On the Aurora, Captain Vance held her crew together. "Follow the plan," she instructed. "Every repair, every move counts. Don't let them see fear." Engineer Chen floated through corridors, sparking and welding, working tirelessly to stabilize engines damaged in earlier attacks. "We're not done yet," she muttered. "We can make it. We always find a way." The battle reached its first turning point when a young systems engineer aboard the Resolute, Cadet Eli Rourke, suggested a bold plan. "If we redirect the auxiliary energy from the shield array, we can send a massive pulse that temporarily disables their engines. It's risky, but it could buy the Aurora precious minutes." KL studied the plan. "Do it. Take every precaution, but make it count." The energy pulse surged from the Resolute, a brilliant flare cutting through the void. Alien ships shuddered as their engines faltered, sending them spinning uncontrollably. Their formations collapsed, and their attacks slowed. "Now's our chance," KL shouted. "Push forward, protect the Aurora, and force them back." The human warship moved with precision. Using the debris of the asteroid field as cover, it approached the enemy with calculated maneuvers. Energy beams struck with deadly accuracy, disabling enemy ships one by one. Meanwhile, on the Aurora, morale soared. Crew members worked faster, repairing systems and coordinating with the Resolute. Lieutenant Ortiz guided power to the remaining thrusters, giving the ship a chance to move. The alien fire continued, but every strike that came close was met with human ingenuity. Shields, decoys, and quick calculations kept the Aurora alive. Ensign Cade watched in disbelief. "They're amazing," he said quietly. "All of them. Human." "Exactly," Captain Vance replied. "This is who we are. We survive, we fight, and we never leave anyone behind." The battle raged for hours, each side refusing to yield. But the aliens began to realize they were outmatched not by force, but by strategy, courage, and unity. The Resolute's relentless advance, combined with human coordination, forced them into a retreat. Kale remained calm, his voice steady over the bridge. "Do not let them escape easily. Keep pressure, but protect the Aurora. No unnecessary risks." Using a combination of energy pulses, calculated strikes, and tactical maneuvers, the human warship pushed the alien fleet back, clearing a path to the Aurora. The stranded crew felt the immense relief of seeing the enemy retreat, giving them the first moments of peace since the attack began. Captain Vance allowed herself to exhale. "We're safe. For now," she said. "Thanks to them." The Resolute hovered nearby, shields up, scanning for any remaining threats. Kale turned to his officers. "Prepare docking procedures. We're getting the Aurora out of here. Every life counts." In engineering, Chen smiled as she completed the final emergency repairs. "We've made it," she said. "We really have made it." But the battle had left its mark. Hull plates were scorched, engines strained, and life support had taken a serious hit. The Aurora was damaged, but not defeated. Humanity had arrived when it mattered most, showing that courage, intelligence, and determination could overcome even the greatest dangers. As the two ships prepared to link up, a message came through from the Resolute, transmitted via secure quantum channels. "Aurora, this is HMS Resolute. You are safe. Prepare for transfer. No human will be left behind." The crew of the Aurora floated to the communication console, tears in their eyes. Ensign Cade whispered, They actually came for us." "We weren't alone." Captain Vance nodded, her face lit by the holographic display. "Humans never abandon their own. Remember that. Remember today." Kale's voice echoed over the intercom, firm yet compassionate. "Today proves one thing. In space, in danger, in the unknown, humans act without hesitation to save life. That is who we are. That is our strength." As the docking procedure began, the alien fleet vanished into the distance, unable to comprehend the resilience and brilliance of human forces. The Aurora, battered but alive, prepared to be lifted from danger by the Resolute. The first wave of rescue drones entered the Aurora's corridors, assisting the crew in stabilizing life support. Humans helped humans without hesitation, without complaint, without fear. Every touch, every action, every word of encouragement reinforced the truth. Humanity survived and thrived because it worked together. For the first time in hours, the crew allowed themselves to relax, even slightly. They had seen fear, faced danger, and been on the brink of despair. But in the void of space, amid darkness and danger, they had found hope, and that hope came in the form of another human being, a warship, and a crew willing to act without hesitation. Captain Vance took one last look at the approaching Resolute. "We are alive because of them. Because humans never give up. We'll carry this lesson wherever we go." Unrai. The docking clamps engaged. The Aurora was pulled toward the Resolute. Safety, warmth, and human solidarity awaited them inside. And as the two ships moved together through the dark expanse, the galaxy seemed a little less cold, a little less empty. Humanity had arrived, and in their courage and unity, they had won the first true victory of the day. In the aftermath of the battle, every crew member understood something profound. The galaxy might be full of unknown dangers, but humans were never truly helpless. Ingenuity, courage, and unwavering solidarity could overcome even the most fearsome threats. The void was still, for now, but the battle had proven one undeniable truth. Humans would fight, humans would protect, and humans would always rise, no matter how deep the darkness. The silence of space after the battle was almost unreal. The alien fleet had retreated, leaving the battered Aurora and the imposing Resolute alone among the stars. Light from distant nebulae painted the void with pale blues and purples, giving the scene a calm, almost serene quality after the chaos of combat. But there was no time to linger. Human lives still needed saving. On the Resolute, Admiral Kale watched the Aurora's hull on the screens, noting every flicker of light, every system reading. "Prepare docking procedures," he ordered. "We'll bring them aboard safely, one by one. Nothing else matters right now." 1. Lieutenant Mara and her team worked quickly, calculating trajectories and energy fields to align the two ships. Every maneuver had to be precise. One small miscalculation could spell disaster for both vessels. On the Aurora, Captain Leora Vance coordinated with her crew, ensuring they were ready for transfer. Crew members floated nervously in zero gravity, still recovering from the adrenaline of the previous battle. Ensign Cade, whose hands had trembled throughout the fight, now held a toolkit and floated near the docking hatch, ready to assist. "Stay calm," Captain Vance instructed. "We've made it this far. Trust them." The docking clamps of the Resolute extended like mechanical arms, glowing softly as they latched onto the Aurora. The two ships connected with a gentle hum, their hulls vibrating slightly as systems synchronized. Lights flickered, but all critical systems held steady. "Connection secure," reported Lieutenant Mara. "We're ready for crew transfer." Admiral Kale's voice came over the intercom. "Aurora crew, begin transfer procedures. Move carefully and follow our safety protocols. Help is coming, and none of you will be left behind." The first team of engineers and medics from the Resolute floated into the Aurora, zero-gravity harnesses keeping them steady. Their presence alone inspired hope. They worked silently but efficiently, stabilizing emergency power systems and life support modules, checking vital signs, and offering calm reassurances to every crew member they encountered. Yara Chen, the Aurora's chief engineer, led her team alongside the Resolute engineers, swapping knowledge and combining resources. "We never thought we'd see the day," she said softly to one of the medics. "But here they are. Humans helping humans. No hesitation, no questions. Just action." The rescue operation proceeded in phases. Small groups of crew members were carefully guided into transfer pods, which carried them to the Resolute's interior. Once aboard, warm lights and artificial gravity greeted the rescued, a stark contrast to the cold darkness they had endured. Captain Vance followed last, making sure every crew member was accounted for. She floated into the Resolute's docking bay, her heart still pounding but her expression calm. Admiral Kale met her halfway, extending a hand in greeting. "Captain Vance," he said firmly, "welcome aboard the Resolute. Your crew is safe now." Captain Vance nodded, her eyes reflecting both relief and gratitude. "We owe you everything, Admiral." "Without the Resolute, we wouldn't have made it." Kale shook his head slightly. "We didn't do it for thanks. We did it because humanity doesn't abandon its own. That is our duty. And that is our strength." Meanwhile, aboard the Resolute, the Aurora crew was introduced to the warship's facilities. Medical bays were prepared for minor injuries, recreation areas offered a chance to rest, and engineering teams provided briefings on the repairs that would be needed before they could continue their mission. Ensign Cade wandered the corridors, marveling at the scale of the Resolute. "I've never seen anything like this," he said, eyes wide. "It's massive, but organized, and everyone works like a single mind." Lieutenant Ortiz, floating beside him, nodded. "That's humans for you. We build, we adapt, we fight together. That's why we survive. That's why we win." In the medical bay, Dr. Celine Rai, chief medic aboard the Resolute, checked the Aurora crew for signs of exhaustion and trauma. She smiled reassuringly. "You've all been through a lot. But humans are resilient. You'll recover quickly." Outside, the Resolute and Aurora remained connected. Shields up, scanners active. Kale monitored every readout, ensuring that no hidden threats from the alien fleet could strike again. The calm of space was deceptive. Danger could return at any moment. But for now, humanity had triumphed through courage, skill, and unity. Captain Vance gathered her crew in the Resolute's main hall. "Look around you," she said. "These people, this ship, this moment. This is what makes humans strong. We survive because we care, because we act, and because we never hesitate to help one another." Her words resonated. Each crew member, still shaken but inspired, felt a renewed sense of purpose. Their mission was not over, but they now understood the true strength of humanity. Admiral Kale called a meeting of the combined crew. "Today," he began, "we proved something important. The galaxy is vast, dangerous, and unpredictable. But humans, our species, have something unique: courage, ingenuity, and compassion. That is our greatest weapon, and as long as we hold on to it, no darkness in space can defeat us. The crew of both ships listened intently. It was not a speech about victory in war, but a lesson in perseverance, teamwork, and the moral strength that defined humans. As repairs were completed, the Aurora crew assisted the Resolute engineers, sharing knowledge and learning new techniques. Together, they reinforced both ships' systems, ensuring that future attacks would be even less threatening. Collaboration between the crews became a symbol of unity. Even small gestures mattered. Medics offered hot meals and warmth, engineers shared tools and advice, and every human on board showed patience, encouragement, and calm reassurance. It was a demonstration of humanity at its best: resourceful, selfless, and compassionate. Captain Vance walked to the observation deck, looking out at the nebula-lit expanse. The Aurora, once adrift and helpless, now floated beside the Resolute, fully protected. Stars shimmered, distant planets glowed faintly, and the black void seemed a little less intimidating. Lieutenant Ortiz joined her, smiling. "We've been through hell," he said quietly. "But we made it. And the galaxy, well, it just learned something about humans today." Vance nodded. "It did. We fight, we protect, and we survive. And most importantly, we never abandon one of our own." In the days that followed, the crews continued repairs and training together. They shared stories of bravery, ingenuity, and survival, strengthening bonds that would last long after this mission ended. The Aurora's crew learned new strategies and tactics from the Resolute, while the Resolute's crew gained insight into exploration and research missions in the Outer Rim. The successful rescue also sent a message to other human colonies and fleets across the galaxy. Word traveled through secure channels. No human is ever left behind. Humanity acts without hesitation to protect life. The story of the Aurora and the Resolute became a symbol of courage, unity, and the defining spirit of humanity. Finally, when repairs were complete and both ships were ready to continue their missions, Captain Vance stood once more on the observation deck. "We've survived," she said softly. "Not because of luck, but because humans never quit. We adapt, we fight, and we help each other. That is who we are." Admiral Cale joined her, gazing at the stars. "And that will carry humanity farther than any starship, any weapon, or any plan. Humans thrive because we never hesitate when it matters most." The Resolute powered its engines, gently pulling the Aurora along, leaving the nebula behind. The galaxy stretched out before them, vast, mysterious, and full of unknown dangers. But the knowledge that humans would act with courage and unity gave them confidence. Wherever they went, humanity's spirit would light the way. In the quiet, Captain Vance whispered to herself, "The universe may test us, but we will always rise. Always." And with that, the Aurora and the Resolute sailed together into the stars, a testament to human ingenuity, bravery, and unbreakable solidarity. The story of their rescue would inspire generations, proving that even in the darkest reaches of space, humanity shines brightest when it protects life and acts without hesitation.